Welcome back, everybody. This is the Being Mother Hustler podcast. I am your host, Kareen Mills. Welcome. We have an amazing woman here that I've known for a long, long time. BJ, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Kareen. Thank you very much.
All right, sister, let's do this.
Okay.
So, tell me about your childhood. I always love listening to people's childhood because the thing about childhood is it really does mold you when you show up as an adult. And then we start healing process. We start personal development. As you know, you're really big with that. And that's kind of how we change to how we show up later in life too, based on our childhood. So take it away.
You're absolutely right. There's so much that forms us when we're young. And most of the time, we're really not aware of it. Not until you become an adult, often in your 40s, 50s, 60s, then we go, wait, why do I keep doing that? Or why do I keep attracting that? And suddenly we go, okay, I want to change, right? And we don't look for a solution until we really see the problem. And when we're young, it's normal. Everything we grow up with, for the most part, seems normal unless you've got, maybe some friends or something that are a real counterbalance to what you grew up with. So you're absolutely right. I am very much into personal growth. I had a pretty good childhood. I'm very grateful. I mean, and again, it felt normal to me, right?
It's really interesting how all that shape up. If you have trauma when you're a child, it's going to affect your, a lot of times, teenage years.
True.
And then early 20s, you can show up at work because then you become a young adult that way as well. So it can affect the exterior part of your life and the relationships that you handle when you're, when you're a grown adult. So that's, that, I mean, you do mindset training, you do a lot of work in the mind. So tell us a little bit, how does that relate? Because I feel like a lot of people that have, I don't want to say traumatic childhood, but more of a challenging childhood seems to excel later on in life. And there has to be a correlation to why that happens. And most of the moms that I interview here that has some sort of a childhood challenge, or, some people go they go homeless with their parents, or for me, I was, I watched my parents wrestle and, domestic violence and whatnot. So how was yours? Was yours pretty exciting, happy, challenging? How was your mom, your parents?
Well, a little bit of who I am today, of course, just like yourself, comes from, the surroundings. I had a very, I had what I would say a songbird Raptor mom. So if you've come to any of my classes, even if you haven't, you hear the word songbird and you're like, okay, and Raptor. And she was a single mom for quite a while. I am one of 6 kids. Let's see, Patsy, Debbie, Mike, me, Garn. Yeah, 6. Sorry, we lost one. But she was, she was a pretty dominant, powerful force in our lives. And she worked because for a long time she was a single mom and she was a nurse. So we didn't have the same, stay-at-home mom kind of experience. She wasn't a warm fuzzy. She was fun. And I probably had one of the best relationships with her. Each child has their own unique relationship with them. And when you have a dominant parent, you might have a quieter child. That quieter child feels either neglected or run over or made fun of. And all those things happened in our family. Some of us were tougher on the other siblings. And she did get remarried when I was about, I must have been 6, 7, something like that. And so then I have another little sister who's my absolute closest sister. And there was still trouble in the family as far as money was always a thing that she had to worry about. Being a single mom, she was a pretty powerful woman and her mom was a pretty powerful woman. So my mother was the only girl in a family of boys. So,
Wow. That makes you powerful.
well, yeah, she kind of had to fight for her way a little bit. She had one brother she was real close to that, kind of protected her. And my grandmother was also a really, I would say, not powerful, but strong, very strong-willed. And just from everything that we can pick up in the past, she had a pretty hard childhood. And she got out on her own at the age of 18. Back in that day, I mean, they lived in the country. So she literally walked across the country to leave when she was 18, to leave where she was to try and find another place to live, someone to work for. And so, I mean, that take care of yourself kind of mental attitude, like you're what you got. You don't lean on other people. You don't count on other people. You need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. It really kind of in our family created a dynamic of where the women, for the most part, the women were the ones were the money makers,
Wow.
kind of taking care of the guys. And so I see that, I have seen that throughout my family, not consistently in the same dynamic with each relationship, but still where the women were in some ways the more responsible party.
Wow.
That's been an interesting thing, because then of course you go looking unconsciously for that same type of relationship.
Sure.
And then sometimes you don't end up in such a good one, because that's not the best dynamic in any relationship, is where one is just having all of the responsibility and
Dominant.
the other one doesn't. So yeah,
It's
that's
very
shown up
true.
a little bit. But other than that, I mean, that's the biggest thing I think I've brought into my adult life, was just that belief that you had to do it yourself. That you had to stand on your own 2 feet, that you don't ask for help. And our generation now, not my generation, but the generation now, the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds, that is not their mentality. They have no problem asking somebody for help for the most part. Like, can I borrow your phone? Or, can you give me a ride? Or those
Yeah.
kinds of things. And so it's something I've had to get over, something I had to find tools. Why do I have some of these same things that push me? Why do I have trouble, asking for help?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Now, the other thing that was beautiful about my childhood is I had cousins who were close. And I grew up in Montana. So we didn't have, of course, no computers, no internet. And I didn't grow up with a lot of TV.
That means it was fun.
Well, we played outside. Yeah, we played outside. We made tunnels in the hay barn. We went horseback riding. We stayed at grandma's in the country, rode the school bus home with the cousins. There was a lot of that for me in my life that was really fun, joy-filled, and very lighthearted. And that, to this day, has kept us close to our cousins. And that's a beautiful thing, to have relations and relationships that really support you and encourage you, and they're there for you. Even if you don't see them for a long, long time, they have this special place in your heart. And,
Yeah.
see them, you're back together. So for the most part, I'm very blessed. I didn't have a physically emotional childhood. There was some, emotional stuff, not physical, but emotional stuff that everybody goes through.
Imperfections.
Yeah, just that. Yeah,
It's
you
never
have to do it.
perfect.
Yep, get it done, do it right.
I want to talk about having a hard time asking for help, because, I think not just women, but for the most part, humans, because we tend to have the pride, and sometimes no matter how difficult life gets, we feel timid for asking help. And there's a point in our lives where we have to learn how to ask, not only learn how to ask for help, but learn how to receive help. As for me, when, I'm in your, I've gone through your class and I'm a Raptor, and I'm very self-sustaining. I'm very independent. I like to be dominant and have, control, but learning how to relinquish control too is something that I have to really not adapt, but really have self-discipline for. Not, I don't have control of everything. So I think the control factor stresses a Raptor out, because when we don't have that control, we tend to kind of don't feel like we're significant.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when we get help or receive help, we tend to push it back because we feel like, hey, I can do this on my own. And so I think there's good and bad when you say, you know, you were self sustaining and you learn how to be independent, you learn how to make your own money and not depend on anybody. But that's really good character, because I'm the same way. But I think when you're really in dire need of help, that can also be a, you know, disadvantage, because sometimes we just really need the help.
Oh, hugely. Yes. Yes. And your point on. I think one of the things I want to bring out for all mom entrepreneurs is, if we can truly accept the fact that we really don't have control, period, we don't. We think we do. We put together our list and we do the best. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't put together your list and have a plan of attack and know what you want to do. But realize that we live in a universe where things are always moving. Other
Mm-hmm.
lives interact with ours, intersect with ours, and things are always
100%.
moving. And if we can, and this I think takes maturity and a willingness to just slow down. And sometimes we have to slow down because we get slapped upside the head. You've had it, I've had it.
Yep.
Most entrepreneurs have had it. Most people end up somewhere in their life where they kind of have to go, oh, wait, I can't. But if we can realize that we're kind of in the river of life, and really our job is just to be aware of where the rocks are, put our oar in the water when we need to go around something, and just be listening to things around us, and know that it's okay to just be in the river of life and accept. And when we fight that, when we're pushing so hard to be successful, we're pushing so hard to get everything done. I do this to myself even now.
Yeah.
True me. Sometimes I stay up way too late. But when I recognize, okay, I can do this and I can do this well, who can I partner with that could do this? And I'm willing to let go of the results. That's the biggest piece. That's where we feel like we have control, because I could do it better. Well, yeah, that's like making the bed for your kids all the time. Yes, you can do it better, but they're never going to learn, and they're never going to get as good as you. So just like we as moms have to raise our kids to do things like unload the dishwasher, sweep the floor, fold the clothes, make the bed, brush their teeth, we're teaching them to the best of our ability to be functioning humans so they can take care of themselves and contribute to society. There are other people in the world that are also have these skill sets we need in our businesses, and they're doing their best to perfect their skill. If we can partner alongside them and say, you know what, you're so good. I notice that you're so good at this, and I would love to find a way to partner with you, because that's not my skill set. I'm really good at this. How can I bring this to you and allow you to bring this to me, so we can really bless more people? Because you truly bless more people when you collaborate. And I think that's one way, without a tragedy. I think that's one simple way to start to accept help into your life as you go looking for it, to the best of your ability. Sometimes you're not in a position to maybe hire somebody, but maybe you can find somebody that would partner and take some of the, like if you have product or you have a program or you have services, sometimes you can partner or barter. And sometimes you can go, I mean, you guys have all told me, because I haven't done it yet, but you've told me, go and look for like an intern at the college that maybe can do some things that you don't want to do. That's one way to gracefully accept help without feeling like, you totally let go of everything. That's one way to start. And the other way to accept help is when you're just knocked flat on your back. And when that happens, you just have to gracefully go, you know what? Try to remind yourself of how good it feels. I love to give, and I know you do too, right? We love it when someone...
We're the giver gang.
Yeah, it feels good. When you can help somebody, you take them something, you do something for them, it feels good.
Yes.
If we don't allow someone to do that for us, we take away that gift. We literally have taken away that gift.
Yeah. So I have two questions. And maybe not the other one, maybe not a question, but mostly the first question is, how does a mom, because this is obviously a mom-centric podcast, how do they get out of the mindset of, okay, I am willing now to receive help?
Okay. I would say, well, it starts with when you go looking for babysitters. Hello. It starts right there. When we go, you know what, I really need to do this, but I want to be with my kids, or I want somebody to be with my kids. If you just put yourself back in that thought process and go, yeah, I asked my family to help me watch the kids, or I've hired a babysitter to help me watch the kids. Maybe once in a while I found somebody who would come and do some house cleaning for me, or maybe some yard work. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It just might be in business, where if you're a little unsure, you're thinking, well, I'm not real sure what I need to do in business. I think I want to do this. Business might be a new move for some mom entrepreneurs, to work for themselves.
Yes.
The best thing to do
Hard.
is collaborate with somebody. First of all, find someone you trust. When I first started Pop Mindset, I connected with somebody I truly loved. She was a businesswoman, and I said, this is what I want to do, and we collaborated, and she helped me come up with ideas. And just that time together gave me encouragement, strength, hope that maybe I could do this. So get involved in some networking, find a couple mentors, like you and I. We love what we do. We know what it's like to get started in business. That's why I do what I do. It's not because I have it all wired. It's because I struggled for 30 some years in the other one, making it successful, found tools, went out looking for things, I've been known to sit on the fireplace and cry when something didn't work out, I'm just
Amen, sister.
Yeah. We all have that, like, oh my gosh. And sometimes working on technology on the computer, I would sit down and cry because I'm like, can't be that stupid. I'm sure I'm not that stupid. Why doesn't this make sense? Right? But the right people, if we're open and we just ask for help, the right people will come into our lives. But again, it's that river, put your oar in the water. Stop trying to swim upstream. Stop trying to force our boat to go upstream with a paddle instead of a motor. And just figure out, where do I need to be? Stop and listen and be quiet for a little bit. Because it will come together. I promise you, it will come together when we don't fight it so much.
Always. And there's so many things here in this conversation that I really want to dive deep into. When you talk about receiving help, there is truly magic that happens there, because when you help, or when somebody wants to help you, it literally helps that person. And you said it right. Like, it makes you feel so good that you did a good deed for somebody. And if you think of it that way, it's like, she's helping me, but I'm also helping her. Maybe that is her purpose and she's trying to deliver it. And if I'm not receiving the help, I'm stopping her from delivering that. I'm a hurdle for, like, you're standing in the way, not only for yourself, but you're standing in that person's way if you don't accept or receive the help graciously. So I just want to reiterate what you just said, because that is such a beautiful, it's truly an exchange. It's not just I think in our mindset, when we get help, we just think it's a one-way street, that, oh, I'm receiving help and I feel really bad. And with me too, being the Filipino that I am, we have this cultural thing that if we get help, we have to figure out another way to give back to that person. But then
you're never done.
You're never done. And we forget that you just pay it forward. And when I saw that pay it forward movement, when it just started going, and they had this little bracelet and people open doors and pay for people's coffee. And I'm like, it's time to change the Filipino cultural mindset that I have. And we call it hiya, like we're ashamed of the help. And so in order for us to remove the shame, we have to give it back to that person to release ourselves, to free ourselves from this. It's so stupid.
But we don't know that. You're raised with it.
So, and that's why I talk about childhood.
Yeah,
because I think it's super important, right?
Yeah. It's and it's so powerful when you feel uncomfortable or unhappy with something. That's the time to start going, wait, is this serving me? Does this thought process or this result or this action still serve me? And then it's that process of peeling back the onion to, you realize you got a little rotten spot. As I tell people, we're all onions. You realize you got a little rotten spot. So you peel back those layers and you cry a little bit, and then you heal that. You get rid of it. You find a way to heal it. And we've got tools. You've got tools. I've got tools, you know. But yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Smart.
Yeah, you cry for help. You cry a little bit, and you said something about crying in like the fireplace, wherever you want to cry, on someone else's shoulder, in your best buddy's shoulder, whatever. But it is a healthy thing. I just want to say, entrepreneurs, it's a healthy thing to do. Not just entrepreneurs, but moms, that even stay-at-home moms. I mean, they have a lot to deal with,
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, it's nonstop to be mom, and, let alone single moms. Like, I look at my husband sometimes and I say, like, I don't know how to do this without you. Like, how could I do this without you? And then you look at us. Yeah, you just look at a single mom and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it's impressive. But I want to touch on what you said about the emotions that comes from childhood. And that's why we don't necessarily receive help graciously, and it feels awkward to get help when you have that mentality. But there is the other flip side, which are the younger generation, which has no shame in their game.
Yep. No problem asking for help. Which, in a lot of ways, if as a mom, I will tell you this. At first, I'm like, well, that seems, pushy and rude to ask people. And then I went, oh, thank the good Lord that they will do that. That way, if they're lost somewhere or stranded somewhere, they don't have problem asking for help. So I know they're far more self-sufficient in that way, and they'll be okay. So moms, your kids will be okay.
The other piece is, I think there's the very extreme entitled part of that generation, which is not, asking for, and I'm just going to be transparent. Like, in my podcast, I try to be very transparent, and whatever people think if it's inappropriate or whatever, but hey, you can have your own podcast. There's that part of that generation, and maybe we have to do a better job as parents to let them know, hey, it's cool to ask for help. There shouldn't be shame in asking for help, because we already know that, because we come from an opposite part of this generational change and shift. So, but there's a boundary. Like, it's all about boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Don't feel like everybody should give you everything, and don't feel like just because your parents are rich that you are automatically rich, or whatever. Just because your parents have a house, you automatically get a house. What boundaries do you, because there's a lot of single moms and a lot of younger moms too that listen. So what kind of boundaries do you think you should propose, or you and I should propose, for those younger ones?
Are you talking about if we, like your own age children, raising your own age children?
Yeah, raising them, teaching them, educating them about those boundaries.
I think when children learn the value of money, they learn what it actually costs to live. What does it cost to have a house? What does it cost to pay the power bill? How much work does it take to make that money to pay the power bill? It doesn't just come for no reason. When children aren't taught how they make money and how to hang on to some of it, and how much it costs to actually live, when they're missing that gap because everything's provided for them, and then they're off to college and they don't even pay their own car insurance or their own cell phone bill, or, I mean, there's no expectation. I think you're setting them up for failure, because we're not giving them the tools that they need. So even if you, as a mom, there's plenty of money for everything needed, I still think that the children need to learn early on. And one of the fun things I did for my kids was I had a work jar. So if they did a certain thing, they'd make $1. This was, 15, 20 years ago. They'd make some money. So they made money for unloading the dishwasher, and for a while there I did treats. when the certain age of their life, money didn't mean anything to them, but a candy bar did. So the bigger the job, the bigger the treat. And so they could go in and they could pick out of the work jar, they could pick something that they wanted and then go do that job. So again, there was a reward for the work needed, but there was a correlation that it doesn't come free. The house doesn't clean itself. The car doesn't wash itself. Gas doesn't jump into the car, So I really think it's important that we do our best to teach our kids how to function for themselves. And some of them will get it. I'll be honest with you, moms. Some of them will get it and some of them just won't. Just do your best. Do your best with what you have, and don't beat yourself up, because each individual who's born and grows, they are at one point responsible for their own choices. So like my daughter, she got out on her own and went, oh man, I didn't realize why the house was always so clean. I'm like, her sinks are full of dishes from time to time. And she's like, yeah, it's because I wash dishes, when she lives with me. Mom washes dishes. So, even though she'd seen it and heard it and been raised to do some of that stuff, there was kind of a lag between doing it and getting out on her own. But, it wasn't foreign to her. It was just like, oh yeah, okay. I think, does that help answer the question a little bit?
Yeah, it takes time for some people to click, like for me, it clicks for me right away, but I do I believe it right away? It's like sometimes, or I should be transparent, that most of the time I have to learn the hard way, like there's different personalities and dynamic in your kids. I have two kids.
Yep.
One of them may, and like, I like what you said, that it's not foreign to them, but it hasn't clicked for them.
Yep.
And it won't click sometimes for others until they are in the position, they move out of the house, they realize that they have a car that's empty of gas and they need gas, and that's why. And then things starts clicking. That's why my mama used to always say that. That's kind of like me. There's a lot of, because I like having control, and sometimes wanting to have control of everything doesn't translate to getting your shit together.
You're too focused on the minutia of control.
Yeah, because you're always like, I want it my way. I don't want it their way, And so there's going to be kids that are like that. And there's kids that are like, whatever you tell them, they'll do, And so I like how you said that, some kids are going to get it.
Yep.
It's just like adults. Like I really treat my kids and look at them like adults, because even adults won't get it right away.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I want to say with that thought process, because a lot of us as moms, we think, well, if I treat my children as mature adults, they'll get it a little better. There's one thing to keep in mind. Their brain has not evolved. Their brain hasn't really developed. So you can, to some extent, expect certain things of them, but at the same time, remember, you've got hormones and you've got brain development. And if they're not in place, that's why a lot of us don't really pick up some of these tools and insights and ability to make changes till we're more mature. I wish we could go and teach our teenagers and our high school students all of this mind aware. I wish they could understand that. But we try, but sometimes you got to remember, at that age, they already think they know it all.
Oh, I know.
See, so that's what I mean.
A 13-year-old.
The brain hasn't completely developed. The brain just has not developed. They don't have enough experience to really go, oh, I really don't know it all. Because it's about that point, they do know it all.
Yeah, and it's about capacity, right? And so when you talk about fully developed brain, and even fully developed brain is really like, the brain has unlimited potential.
Oh, absolutely.
And so even when you think you're fully developed or mature, you're still not quite even scratching the surface. So it's all about capacity. And so when you don't have this much life experience, your capacity to understand the reality of things is really not there yet. So I thank you for mentioning that, because, like you said, as much as they think they know it all.
Yeah, it gets a little testy around the house with the teenagers who know it all. But, you just breathe, walk, hold your boundaries,
Yeah.
do the best you
So
can.
you talk about your daughter and it sounds like she's like me. She learns the hard way. Is she like that? What's her name?
No, her name is Misty. She's a teacher and a tutor. She's a private tutor. She's very, very good. She's a heron. So, but she's also adventurous in her own way. And so I would say she didn't have to learn things the hard way. She was one that would stand back. Herons are a lot more, it's a personality profiling I do with birds. So a heron would be an analytical. They're usually a little more willing to stand back and watch the mistakes that everybody else does.
I see. And learn from it.
Yeah, they go, well, that was stupid. I'm not going to do that. Well, that's a dumb thing. Don't you look like an idiot? So they're far more willing they still make their own path, but they do it through learning. They do it through, making sure that whoever they're learning from, they respect. And Misty's like that very much. But there are some things in the practical world. See, herons or analyticals often are very good at the head game. They're very good at the learning, not always very good at the practical every day because their world is different than ours. They live here. They don't live here. So
they have to have a manual of everything. I have one of those.
Yeah, they need the boundaries. They need the rules. They need to know where the walls are and don't step out. Right?
It's exactly right. And I'm going to talk about my son, how I became a really great mom for him because of your class. But first, can you educate my listeners in terms of this bird thing? Because you and I obviously know exactly what we're talking about. And everybody listening is probably like, what the heck?
What the heck?
Bird, dove,
Yeah.
raptor.
Okay.
So I want for you to just kind of give us a snippet of each bird. And this is like just a little background. So I'll just let you do your thing because look at your body language went like this and you got so excited. So do it, girl. Do you?
My daughter got me into bird watching years and years ago. And as I'm out bird watching, I realize that all of the communication we're trying to learn through the disc profile and Briggs and Myers and all these personality profiles, that same concept could be put into something that we see every day that's easy to understand. So I watched the birds and I talked with her, and of course she's being the learning, she helped me, and we realized that I can break all of our 4 personalities that we deal with. Now there's more than that. This is not just in a box, okay? This is a basic. But there's 4 basic personalities, and what that means is people process information in a certain way. They either are relationship driven or they're task driven. They are either outgoing or they're very quiet. So the 4 flocks I broke it into are raptors, which if you think of an eagle, right, there are leaders. They're dominant, they're powerful, they like a lot of room, they're territorial. So those are the ones that are a little more controlling, high sense of responsibility. A lot of those will end up in our, leadership roles, CEOs, business owners. That's a raptor. And there's pros and cons to every single flock. The second one that I talked about was herons. Herons are those great big, tall, gangly birds, like egrets and herons. They're quiet. They're very patient with the process, not with people. People are stupid to herons. But they're very patient with the process.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, can you tell really quick?
Yeah.
I just want to say the title of this personality profiling is called Are You My Flock?
Yep.
I love that title, by the way. So go on.
Okay, because it's about understanding whether or not you and I fly together, we speak the same language, or whether I need to learn your language so you can hear me, because we can only change ourselves. We can't change someone else. So my whole premise with this is to teach people the language. First, you have to teach them how to identify the personality, but then the most important piece is learning the language. It's one thing to know that you're a raptor, but if I can't speak raptor, I've lost you, right? Or I get run over accidentally. So herons are your second ones. Herons are your analyticals. Herons are very detail-minded. They love to research. They're quiet. They're patient. They're skeptical. They're cautious. They're the ones that'll research a refrigerator for like 2 months before they buy it. A raptor's going to go to the store and go, I want that one. Can you deliver it?
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's just a difference in the way that they.
I'll pay the price.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I don't want to mess with it. The third one is songbirds, like our little sparrows and robins and jays, blue jays that are, squawky and loud. Songbirds are social. They love being with people. They don't ever want to miss anything. They're the ones that suffer the most from FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So they'll light up the room when they come in. They're the life of the party. They're talkative. They're the child that writes on the wall and never shuts up. That's your songbird. They're the ones that can't sit still in class because they're bored. And I have to tell you, this is so powerful, this program, because even my daughter, our children never see things the way we do. They're like, sure, you're just my mom, right? But my daughter said, this really helped me because I used to get so irritated with the kids that wouldn't sit still. And they're always talking and they're always interrupting. And it just drove me crazy. And I asked her one time, she was talking to me about one of the kids. And I said, is it possible that child is a songbird? And she went, oh.
Wow. Aha
Now
moment.
she treats those kids differently. Yeah, they still irritate her a little bit, but she knows what to do. She speaks their language. She finds something fun for them to do or gets them involved or gets them out of their seat. Huge difference between like tell them they need to take Adderall or Ritalin.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thanks
right?
for that.
Those are your
Mental
songbirds.
note. Let's talk more about that later.
Okay. And then the fourth one is doves. And everybody knows when you think of a dove, you automatically think of peace and love and quiet. Well, they're a bird that's very relationship driven. You'll always see them together, right?
They're so annoying to me, but I love them.
But that's the difference. When you understand, a raptor's going to be a raptor's always going to be annoyed with a dove, and that's normal. You got an eagle right here, and you got a dove right here, right? That's lunch. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Lunch.
Yeah.
But your doves are your supporters. Your doves are the ones that want to make a difference. The only reason they do something is because it's going to make a difference.
I love doves.
They don't care about money. They don't care about the party. They want to make sure that you're having a good time, that you're comfortable. Did you get something to eat? Do you need something more to drink? And I'll stay around to help clean up. So it's really a powerful, powerful program. It's changed my life because the deeper I dug into understanding, it changed the way that I look at people. I'm able to let things just fall off because it's not my fault, right? It's not what they said was not about me. It's like, oh, that's right. That person's a heron. Give them some space. Yes. Oh, that's right. That person's a raptor. She didn't mean to bite. Right? They do. Raptors are real bold.
They bite a lot too.
They come across as like, this is what I want. Let's do it. Let's do it now. And for a dove, they're like, oh, you just bit me, or did I do something wrong? Mm-hmm. You spoke sharply. I must have done something wrong. So that's the little snippet. And I do teach.
I love it.
It's a blast.
So I was because I already was going to ask you. So this has changed my life. And I truly believe, and I haven't said this to anybody about doves, because I think I have a lot of doves in me. Because I switch into like giving and making an impact and, learning how to brush it off because, I'm not transitioning, but I'm starting to get to know myself more with your class. And that, I'm a raptor when I need to be, especially in profession.
Right.
But I love my community. I love building a community. I love building a culture in a group of people and things like that. So I'm learning that, I'm not so much of a raptor overall, but I know when to step into my raptorness and I know when to step out and become more in there. Good. And because Jen, my business partner for Game Changers, is such a heavy dove.
All dove.
But the opposite, she also has some raptor in her when she needs to be in her profession. So I think we can credit the your personality profile class into really understanding each other a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored. I'm always honored when people, you know, when they say, well, I think you're just a, and it's usually what they are. And I count that as a very high honor that I was able to speak their language and help them learn to speak each other's language. It's a blessing to me. It really is.
Yeah, because you know, and Jen knows this, like she knows when to back down. Like when she can tell when I'm annoyed by her, and I can tell when I'm too strong for her.
Good.
You know,
Good.
through text message, okay, I need to give her some space, and I need to slow down my.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Good.
it's just been, we've become sisters because of it. So kudos to you.
You guys did the work. So I'm proud of you. I would say that to all moms. It's really about being willing to learn something new and practice it. It will change your life. It's one of the 4 keys that really I work with for all of my coaching clients or my retreats. It's don't give up, women. Be willing to learn, be willing to practice something new to change your life.
Yeah. So for salespeople, so let's start with business. How flock? And I already kind of gave you a little experience or testimonial for me and Jen for our business. But how does that translate for the rest of the world, business wise? Because I know you now have an online course for it,
Mm-hmm.
live a live class for it online.
I have what's called the Master Key membership. In business, there are 2 things that have made my business most successful. One was understanding how to read people, and the second was the personality profiling. So once you understand who they are, then you know how to speak their language. And those 2 things will get you far more yeses in business. It will take down the wall between you and someone else that you're trying to approach, and learning how to approach people, what kind of words to use, what kind of approach to use, body language, the whole thing. It is the most powerful thing you can learn for business because it translates from the introduction to the presentation, to the close, to the follow-up, and to this client service. It's the whole thing. And I always tell people it's not the product, the program, or the service that you offer that makes you money. It's your people skills. If your
Amen.
people skills suck,
It's true.
everything else does too.
Well, when you work with people and your people skill sucks, then why are you in the people business?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know? Or not only that it sucks, because I used to suck. You know what I'm saying? But you're not developing it.
yeah.
I mean, I'd be the one that I was so timid when I first came to America due to my lack of proper English. I was very timid and shy because I didn't want to mess up my English, and so you have to also be open to learning
Yep.
and, I'm always building myself because I feel like I never have everything figured out, and I'm always open to learning.
Good.
So even if you sucked, you could
Right.
still you could still develop
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
not the end of the rope.
Nope. And you know that things aren't working if you're not getting very many yeses. I always tell people if you're networking and you're just not making very many connections, nobody's wanting to do business, then you need skill sets on how to do an effective coffee date or how to do an effective Zoom meeting. I mean, you can learn how to talk to people.
Yeah,
You don't talk to people in one way or another, even if it's getting really good at texting in their language or emailing in their language or Facebook, but you still need to learn to talk to people because they're the ones that write
yeah.
your check.
They have the money that you want. I
Yep.
mean, it's not all about the money, but it's a huge part of the detail. That's
That's
what
what,
we all,
yeah,
it's,
it gives you the privilege to do what you need to do in life. Plus
yeah,
you have the skill or you have something they need. So it's a mutual exchange. It's not just us looking out for money. It's
exactly,
somebody looking for something we have that we can help them
exactly.
with.
You can solve their problems, and there's no better feeling in this world to solve someone's problem.
Mm.
And as a byproduct, have some income or make money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a byproduct of the things, the good things that you do. The second thing that I would like to highlight though with your class is that parenting and motherhood, because I feel, like I have a better understanding of both of my children, and I know when to really listen to them. And I think it's super important in this world, especially is we don't know what they think, and they have a lot of influence outside our house. They have a lot of influence online and social media, and being able to quit being annoyed. I mean, I still get annoyed from time to time, and just allow them to be parents, allow them to be who they are personality wise. I think that it's made an impact on me being a mom with your class, Are You My Flock? Because our kids are like one of the most important things, if not the a lot of us, there are only why. I mean, they're one of my biggest why, but they're not the only why I have. So being able to not only even just communicate, but understand how to listen to them, it's been such a game changer for me. So
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for using it. I feel when I can touch a mom or a dad and they take that and they use it with their children, that's a ripple effect, because that changes how their children will grow up and how their children will interact with the world. So that's a gift to me. So I'm very blessed that it helped you. I'm very blessed.
Yeah, and for the moms that are listening, if you like are wondering how this whole thing's going to translate for you, I literally will have BJ's information on the podcast notes. And of course, I'm going to be blasting you on social media all over the place. But I really highly recommend your class. And then the other mental note that I made while you were talking about your class is, and you talk about Misty, is the school system. When I look at my two children, and it's funny, I connected with one of my clients and we talked about she also has two boys and I have two boys, and they're very different. And we talked about how they both learn. And my oldest, who's a heron, the public school system is so perfect for him.
Yeah.
He loves it.
They like to
He enjoys it. But my other son, not so much. I think he'll be great in a Montessori school. The public school system is not for everybody.
Right.
But unfortunately, unlike the Are You My Flock class, and I think it should be taught in the school system to the teachers, right? Because like Misty is a teacher.
Yep.
And she's able to understand how her kids learn. I mean, that would change the world, because, with my mission and vision, or I would say vision being, mothering the world, right there, we're able to have I call it the channels of distribution to mother this world, which, a lot of times our kids spend a lot of time in classrooms. Majority of their time is spent in classrooms. And so if they have this tool, it's going to change the world, and our kids are our future. And so they learn very differently. Even the two I have, I know they learn very differently. My oldest says, like, he wants to be an aerospace or something. Just so, like you said, we have a scientist in him or an engineer in him. You already knew him before you even, I told you about him. And then my youngest came to my husband not too long ago and said, Dad, I don't really want to go to college. He's only 10, And so I think he just does the minimum in school because he has to. Yeah. The other one thrives.
Yep.
And it's not like he doesn't thrive. He actually, if he's doing the minimum and he's like in school, but it's not enjoyable for him.
Right. Right. And it's okay for him not to go to college. There are some of our most amazing entrepreneurs and our developers
and thought leaders.
Yes, they didn't go to college. They were too far ahead of the game. I didn't go to college. I'm too bored. It's like, why would I want to pay money to go do something I don't know what I want to do? I want to go make money. So I jumped into the work world right away. So nothing wrong with that. That's an old thought process that we have to go to college in order to find a job. Nowadays, we've got people that have PhDs and can't find a job. You know, they're working in call centers. I know some of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so smart for you to know your child and figure out, how do I support them in who they are and what they want to do to the best of my ability.
Yeah. So people, there's 3 ways here that you can use this amazing tool that BJ has through business, like literally.
Mhm.
Also to when you're trying to get a job, when you interview for a job, how to get the job too, by knowing who you're talking to, which bird, right? And the
Yep.
thing I love about your class is the simplicity of it, because in my professional world, banking, insurance, and all that, we have been sent to many, and the companies that sent me to many personality classes have spent thousands of dollars,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Pages upon pages of who you really are. And then here comes, Are You My Flock? And I'm like, holy moly.
So simple.
Seriously, this thing is so simple. And the simpler things are, like when I was writing my book, I try to like find big words. And then the editor goes, oh, you know, that's the biggest mistake people do when they try to write books. They try to make it look fancy with words. The best selling books are actually books that have simple words in it and it's easy to read.
Yep.
We try to be this fancy, amazing, but you could be amazing, but yet simple, and deliver simple messages and in a very simplistic way. So I really, that is the best punch that you have in
Hmm.
how simple it is. And you don't even have to think and have a cheat sheet. I know
Yeah.
cheat sheet of it. It class, it sticks forever because of how simple it is. And then you also have like a more advanced course on top of that, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, in the open classes that I typically teach, the 2-hour classes are just on identifying. You know, how do I figure out who somebody is? Because that's an awareness that a lot of people just haven't had. They just think everybody either is like them or not like them, or they don't like somebody and they don't know why. But the online Master Key membership really dives into all of that. So it has all of the Are You My Flock training, which alone is worth like $1,200. And then it's got all of the mind aware stuff too. So it has, it's really a very rich program, and it's coming up available. I'm going to be introducing it next month and opening the class up for the 4th quarter.
That is so amazing. Congratulations on that. Or is that going to be when you said, what was the title again of the class?
Master Key membership, because
Is
there's
that going to be a membership based?
Yes, it is already. It's not open right now for new members. It will open up the 1st of October.
Okay.
2019 will be my next opening for a group to work with. So through September, if people happen to see this, they can go back to my Facebook page if they see this afterwards. But through September, I'll be doing some live videos to train and to impart and then to invite.
Awesome. What do you think is, you know, as we end our conversation here, and we talked about you can apply your class to Are You My Flock to business, entrepreneurship, being a parent and a mom. Like I already talked about my journey with how I applied it in my journey. And then of course, as a teacher, and I mean, as a parent, we're always going to be teachers to our kids. We are their first teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But also as a teacher in a classroom environment or a school district and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it is truly a universal tool that everybody could use to just about for anything,
Yep,
right?
absolutely. And the
So
first place people will put it is in their personal life. Every time they take the
mhm.
class, they're like, I wish you could get my wife, or I wish you could get my husband or my partner to take this. So it makes a difference in your personal relationships across the board.
Okay. Yeah, relationships, super important,
Yeah.
right? It gives you wisdom, a lot of wisdom. So question for you. What do you think you learned from your mother that you also use as a parent to your children? And I know probably a lot, but mention maybe 1 or 2.
To do things with them, to have fun, because my mom took us camping and backpacking and things like that. So I think that was one thing, is to do things, you know, to get out and do things with my kids. And the other thing I learned from her, bar none, is hard work. I know how to work hard.
Yeah. Thank you for that. What do you think your message that you want to leave your kids, um, if they were listening to this episode?
Um, I would say never give up on your dreams, and never give up on yourself. That's what I'd say.
That's a really, really awesome message. You know, one of my best friends in high school is coming to America in Colorado, and she sent me, you know, we just turned 40, obviously. And she just sent me a Facebook message. I didn't even know she was going for it because she's still living in the Philippines. She already has 3 children and a husband. And, you know, as a third world country, a lot of third world country people always like to come to first world countries for economic reasons. And she messaged me yesterday and said, "Hey, I'm coming to Colorado. I'm coming closer to you." And you know, sometimes you don't know that by you showing up the way you are, I only get to connect with them when I go home. But they'll always be, I have 2 best friends in high school. They'll always be my best friends, Christy and Ann. And it's Christy that's coming. And I said, "Oh, congratulations. I didn't even know you were trying." So she's coming for a teacher. I didn't know you started teaching. And she said, I haven't, but I got this, but I have the credentials, because we all have, you know, really good. I have the credentials to teach. So whatever you can find, like loophole to get. And so I'm like, "You go, girl. I'm so proud of you." And you don't really are. And she's, you know, she's saying like, "You really inspire me, even though you're a mom." Like I've almost given up on my dream. And this is in relation to what you told your kids. No, of a parent you are, because I think we use our kids sometimes as an excuse not to, when it should be an excuse to go or it's not an excuse, but should be a reason to go for it even harder and bigger, right?
Yep.
And so I was so happy she flew out last night, and I think she's flying in today, Saturday, in LA. And I'm so excited. She's on a 5-year visa, and welcome. And then in 2 years, she's going to get her family over. She says, "Yeah." I said, "You know, I'm so glad you never gave up. I didn't even know you were going for it." And it's just because she says, "You just inspire me to do things, you know."
Good for you, girl.
It's exciting. So those are the kind of message that you love to hear from people, you know. Yeah. And especially too, if you do that for your kids and inspire them to not give up, no matter how wrinkly you get.
Yeah, how tough. Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, before we end our conversation, because I think I can talk to you all day long, what is your message to all the moms out there? You know, including me, because I'm obviously I'm interviewing you and listening to your wisdom. What is your message to them? And it doesn't have to be simple. It could be a longer message.
I would say, number one, stay tuned in to yourself. What's going on with you? What's going on in your relationship, like with your spouse or partner, and what's going on with your kids? Stay tuned in and be aware as best you can. Be aware, and never give up learning. Because if you truly care about your own personal growth, it will have a ripple effect on the family. And know that you're doing your best. Don't beat yourself up, because especially if you work from home, it's hard. Sometimes we think, "Well, I should be with my kids, but I've got to make some money. But I should be with my kids, but I've got to make some money." Do your best to find time that you can be just with your family and time that you can just do work. It's not easy. Trust me, I know. I did it for 38 years. But be kind to yourself. Do your best no matter what. You're not God. You can't control everything as much.
No, you're not.
We would love to control everything. But just know you're doing your best.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah.
love you, sister.
And don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Thank you for that message. That is a powerful message.
And those that know me know why I do that. But anyway, that's the best I can say.
Well, you have to know that you're making an impact, and whatever you experienced recently, and like you said, for those of you who knows me, knows what you went through not too long ago. And I think that's, you're so strong. You're such a strong woman person. And I love how when we ask you how you're doing, you're like, I'm healing, and you got to move on, because this is what my loved one would have wanted me to do, is to heal and move on and do my purpose and deliver my purpose. So I love how you are showing up that way, because it's inspiring more than, it's inspiring a lot of people to also be engaged, no matter how, because our kids become adults, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And continuing to engage with them. You don't have to be in their space, but continuing to engage with them is super important. My last question, which is the fun part. What is BJ Stromme's definition of the word mother hustler? And when you heard that word, what came to mind?
I would say it's a mother who is fully engaged in life for herself and her kids, and she's driving. She's in the river of life. She's watching out for the rocks for herself and her kids, and she's living. She's living life to the fullest and just getting everything she possibly can for her and her family in an open, accepting, and loving and fun way, not a desperate way. She's hustling in a way that she's excited. She's moving forward because it's fun, it's inspiring, and she knows she makes a difference. That's a mother hustler.
Thank you for that. And before we say goodbye, can you please let us know where to find you, social media handles, websites, all those fun stuff?
Okay. Verbally, or just send it to you? Verbally? Okay, so I'm on Facebook as Pop Mindset. You can find me on LinkedIn, popmindset.com. And then on the internet right now, it's popmindset.com, but it's through the Wix site. So you might not find me easily. Just Google BJ Stromme and you'll probably find me. Or Google Pop Mindset and you'll probably find me.
Wonderful. And Stromme is Stromme.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for showing up today, sister. I love you so much. And I know that whatever message we can extract from this, it's going to be amazing. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you for your time. I love you too. Have a good day.